Hi everyone. In this episode, I'd like to just touch upon some of my takeaways from the Border Gavaskar Trophy from an Indian perspective, and I'd love to get your thoughts as well on that, if you agree or if you see or if there are some other important takeaways. So, just getting into it, I think there's a lot of talk around finding a scapegoat or scapegoats for this loss for India. So, is it the senior players? Is it the captain Rohit Sharma, or is it Virat Kohli not having a great series, or is it Mohammad Siraj who hasn't delivered, or is it the bowlers, or is it the coach? I mean, in our part of the world, it's not uncommon to find some scapegoats and fix the blame. But I think the to me that's really a very superficial question which is based on the result. I think there is a deeper problem here which we need to look at, and I'll just share a statistic that will probably blow your mind away. Right, so we're talking India and Australia, right? Just take a guess. I mean, these are the two top teams. Take a guess, what is the quantum of cricket that Australia plays. When I say quantum, I mean number of matches that Australia plays and the quantum of matches that India plays. If you talk about Test cricket, do you think is it more? Is it less? Well, if you look at the last 2 years, I have the stats. India played 23 Test matches and Australia played 26 Test matches. This is for 2023 and 2024. So almost the same, right? There's not much difference. Just 3 matches. Australia played 3 Test matches more. That's nothing really. So as far as Test goes, but here is where the problem is, and I want to dive deeper into this. I think you can probably now see where I'm heading towards. Australia played, like I said, 26 Test matches in 2023 and 24. And they also, how many T20Is did they play? They played 24. So that ratio between Test matches and T20Is is zero point 0.9. So for every one Test match, they played zero point 0.9, or you can say almost one. For every Test match, they played us one T20I in the last 2 years. But for India, this is where the problem is. We played 43 T20Is in the last 2 years. So if I compare that with the Test matches that we played 23, like I said, and that translates to a ratio of 1.8 or close to 2, which means for every one Test match, we are playing twice as much Test T20Is. And you'd be wondering maybe why I'm getting into this, because if you notice the press conference and from Rohit Sharma or from Gautam Gambhir, or even if you analyze yourself, it's not really one person who has not performed, be it the batting or be it the bowling. It is a collective batting failure, as Rohit said in the press conference, not just after the Australian series, but before we embarked on this tour at the end of the series against New Zealand. It's clearly a case of all the batters being out of form, right? And then also on the bowling side, I'll just touch upon. So just staying with the batting, what we are seeing is, why are these batters? So it's not just Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma who are not getting runs, but it's also the likes of Shubman Gill, the likes of Jaiswal. While he has done quite well, I would say, in this series. But if you look at the other young players, they're really not doing that well, right? And so the reason for that, and this is, I'm not a Ranji player or a Test player, but whatever little club cricket that I've played, what I can tell in looking at, is that these are batters, because they've played so much of T20 and white ball cricket. they are not trusting their defense. I mean, because in that format, it's more about scoring runs, and you tend to play in front of you so that you can play those attacking shots. So that becomes kind of a muscle memory, and that's a natural tendency to play in front of the body. And we see all our batters, top batters, getting out in that fashion, in not just in this series, but also this series against New Zealand when it came to playing spin. We just seem to have lost that art of trusting our defense and absorbing pressure. So I guess that's from a batting perspective. And you may ask, well, Travis Head, what about Travis Head? He had a stellar IPL season the last time around. But then, like I said, they don't play as many T20Is as we do. They play red ball cricket. They also have, I mean, they do play their own shield cricket. So that gives them a lot of, lot of practice for in the red ball format. So that's the answer to that question. Coming to the bowlers real quick. So what are the problem from the bowlers? I think one is the fitness. Bumrah is at a whole new level. He's the best bowler. But let's talk about India's number 2, number 3, and even number 4. What we clearly see is that and the surprising thing is these are the young bowlers, the likes of Akashdeep, Harshit Rana. They are struggling for fitness. And when I say fitness, it's not just about looking fit, but it's about coming back for that third or fourth spell in the day or in the test, bowling, I don't know, maybe close to 40 overs, let's say, or maybe a little more. I don't see our fast bowlers or the new ones have that kind of fitness. And the reason for that is, again, not playing enough red ball cricket. If you see Harshit Rana, he had a fantastic start in the first test match. In the first innings, if you recall, the ball that he got Travis Head with was a gem. He had a really good spell. He picked up 3 wickets. But then I think what happened was that the fitness aspect came into it and he couldn't really maintain that intensity in his follow-up spells in the second innings and even in the second test match in Adelaide. We saw the performance kind of taper off. Similar case with Akashdeep. He bowled really well in Brisbane. Yes, he was unlucky, but I think towards the end of the 4th test, his performance kind of tailed off. He was not as threatening. And this is where we kind of lost that, the series broadly, if you ask me. Let me know what you think.